for joining us this evening. I'm your anchor, Sarah Wenger.
And I'm your other anchor, Sean Francis. And because you just don't know what to do with the news that candy corn flavored bratwurst is selling out somewhere in the world, a real news story that I just saw on my phone before we walked on stage. Your brains turn to jelly like mine is right now. So we are bringing you the top local, national, and world news that you may have missed.
You're welcome, Grand Rapids. This is
NewsFlash. Ooh, unison.
That's pretty good.
Yeah. Our top story tonight. Tesla CEO Elon Musk announced last week that his company is relocating its headquarters to Texas because back in May of 2020, frustrated with California's overreaching COVID-19 restrictions, Musk called the temporary shutdown of his operations fascist. And in a simple tweet, California Assemblywoman Lorenza S. Gonzalez responded, "Fuck Elon Musk." To which he replied, "Message received." But let's take a quick look at some of the laws in good old non-fascist Texas. It's illegal to own a set of the Encyclopedia Britannica. I guess they're afraid that you might learn how to brew your own beer or whatever. It's illegal to milk someone else's cows. There are cities in Texas where it's illegal to go barefoot without a permit. They haven't legalized recreational cannabis, which is odd considering all of those last three are something that you probably do when you were high. And in Denison and Bristol, Texas, it's illegal to show your stockings, which is a penalty of up to a year in jail. And then, of course, that whole abortion law, SB 8, amounts to nearly a complete ban on abortion in the state, which you'd think with their ban on visible stockings, that problem would take care of itself, but who knows. But good luck in non-fascist Texas, Elon.
The Las Vegas Raiders head coach John Gruden resigned from his position last week after an investigation uncovered years of homophobic, sexist, and racist emails. And we here at NewsFlash were outraged. And I mean outraged. It is 2021.
Right.
And when we heard the news, seriously, Sean, nobody should be using an AOL account.
Disgusting. William Shatner has now boldly gone where many people have gone before on a Blue Origin flight to space, but sadly he returned safe and sound. He even came back with a souvenir. It's on the wing. For anybody curious to how exactly these tourist space flights work, the Phallus craft with a 4-person crew takes about 150 seconds to reach the boundary of the Earth's atmosphere, at which point a capsule separates from the booster stages and continues on an altitude about 62 miles above the Earth's surface. The capsule, with William Shatner still inside, returned to Earth safely, landing softly with 3 parachutes. It is unclear what horrible death awaits the other 3. Now that scientists have perfected shooting billionaires and celebrities into space, maybe we're only a few years now from finalizing the technology of leaving them there.
Fingers crossed. Commonwealth Court ruled last week that a wooden crate in Marconi Plaza, a South Philadelphia park, remained in place covering a giant Christopher Columbus statue. City reps said that removal of the covering would pose a serious public health safety risk, and keeping the statue boxed up is in the best interest and public safety of all Philadelphians. A group of Italian Americans, the Friends of Marconi Plaza, opposed the crating and were demanding its removal before Indigenous peoples, formerly Columbus Day. Their terms were intense. They said either uncrate the statue or retcon the ending of The Sopranos. Now, the last time a giant Christopher Columbus was uncrated 529 years ago in 1492 by Queen Isabella, it walked across the countryside, enslaving Indigenous people, and imposed punishments such as severing limbs and death. This 106-foot-tall Columbus was only stopped and turned to marble at Penn's Landing by the great kaiju Titanosaur. Thank God for that.
Thank you, Titanosaur.
Thanks.
The Supreme Court may be ready to reinstate the death penalty for the convicted Boston bomber, but some advocacy groups are suggesting an even worse punishment, making him run a marathon. And then he's still in Boston at the end.
While most of us are already frustrated with the global supply chain woes, we can now add public school students to the list. Jenison and Hudsonville Public Schools announced this week that the global supply chain shortages and disruptions are going to force them to change and limit many of the offerings available in their school-provided lunches. The struggles aren't limited to just rural districts, though. Even East Grand Rapids and Forest Hills have reported that, sorry, this is emotional, they had to get rid of the lobster thermidor Thursdays. And they're gonna have to replace it with the beef Wellington Wednesdays, which is disgusting.
Tough.
While the creme brulee is still being served, it's only being served to juniors and seniors.
Damn. Tough luck, fresh meat.
Right?
Sunday, the nation's top infectious disease expert, Anthony Fauci, gave a stamp of approval for children to trick-or-treat this Halloween after it was labeled a high-risk activity last year due to the coronavirus pandemic. Meanwhile, Halloween Town's top doctor, Dr. Finkelstein, gave a stamp of approval for residents to slay, disembowel, and stab with forks trick-or-treaters at will in an attempt to return it to the top of the high-risk activity list.
Need some danger, you know? Fiona Hill, the top Russia advisor to President Trump's administration, revealed in a book that she was informally known as the Russia bitch by other members of Trump's cabinet and most likely Trump himself, knowing the guy. Members of the press, the current administration officials, and most of the vaccinated public were unsurprised by this level of misogyny in the Trump administration. In fact, the only surprised individual, and we looked, that NewsFlash could find, was Natasha Patel, who responded, "Ha! She hasn't even killed one moose and one squirrel. I think not."
Prince Charles is concerned about the environment, very concerned, and so he converted his Aston Martin to run on wine and cheese instead of gas. This is a true story, yes. Surplus wine and whey from the cheese-making process is used to make biofuel, and so that's the route Prince Charles decided to go to show that he's not out of touch. So he's, obviously considered some of the more traditional approaches, like not living on a 50,000-acre estate as a second home, or not owning an estimated $13.5 million worth of cars, or, simply walking or taking a bike to what he laughingly calls his job. But, he thought all those ideas just sounded silly. Why do all that when you could have a car that runs on wine and cheese? Talk about car-cootery.
I'll let that one slide. There's a shortage of glass, everybody. This means you might not see your pasta sauces and jellies and other foods that come in jars in your stores. You might want to check your fridge and pantry to see if it's a glass half full or a glass half empty situation. But don't worry, every single grandparent is completely unfazed. They've got enough. Yeah. In an effort to address this shortage, companies may start recycling the containers currently filled with the brains of historical figures like Einstein and Hitler. Ooh. So be careful with that next pickle. Yeah, don't know what you're gonna get. Also, this could lead to more food co-ops, so look out for the self-serve mayonnaise barrel. Yum.
3 Alabama golfers were injured last month after several individuals dressed in camouflage ran out of the woods and attacked them at the Kraft Farms Golf Resort in Alabama. Real bad timing to have, an annual Golfers Association meeting on the same day as Make Your Own Camouflage for Survival Preppers Day. Man, tough luck. So asking the cast of Jackass, who are never ones to shy away from publicity, they disavowed any involvement in this stunt. Borat and Tanya Harding both have airtight alibis as well. But meanwhile, M. Night Shyamalan, in the middle of filming his latest thriller, The Back Nine, starring Adam Sandler and Bill Murray, at an undisclosed location, was unavailable for content.
Fishy. Well, fishy. Matt Amadio's Jeopardy winning streak ended last week after a span of 38 total episodes, y'all, and $1.5 million in prize money, placing him second only to Kim Jennings in consecutive wins and third to Jennings and James Holzhauer in winnings.
Yeah. So when asked what he was going to do with his earnings and winnings from this run, he said, "Oh, real boring, typical stuff. You know, who's going to invest it? You know, put into some bonds and things," which is like total snooze fest of an answer, right? Social media wasn't having it, and they compiled their own list in the comments of what real people would do with that amount of money. So, you know, first of all, they might get a pair of really nice slacks. Yep. They'd get an entire grocery cart full of saltine crackers. They'd finally pay for that New York Times subscription.
Paying off library fines.
Yep.
Get off your family Netflix plan and upgrade to HBO Max if you're feeling frisky. Finally get an official WinRAR license.
Yeah, sure.
You know, that's how we say that.
Buy that Project Planet P project album on vinyl. They'd look into the whole tipping culture thing.
What is that?
Yeah. Get a carbonator installed in their faucet.
Forgetting the 112 steps between Coinstar and the gas pump.
Yeah.
That'd be nice. Jif instead of Spartan peanut butter. Know what I would do? Cheese from Trader Joe's instead of Aldi's.
Ooh, nice,
right?
fancy.
Right.
They'd get their extended warranty on their car. Buy new college textbooks instead of used. They would leave a penny and not take any. Don't need to.
Maybe order off the regular menu instead of the kids menu. You know. Finally admitting your actual birthday at Denny's.
Yeah.
Eating ramen non-consecutively just because I want to, not because I have to.
Yeah,
right. You
know? They just start throwing away any recyclables. Just like throw it in the garbage. Who cares? New floor mats for my Nissan. Yeah. Or getting the mid-tier car wash option.
Damn, Francis, you're getting fancy.
The hot wax.
How about, are you going to change looking dead into their eyes as they say yes? Voting against my personal values of tax anxiety. So smite my enemies. Or personally just like camping recreationally.
Yeah, sounds great.
Right? All of which are more luxurious than whatever Mike Richards is going to have to do now.
Yeah. A Turkish man got drunk and fell asleep in the woods. Yeah, that's a thing that happens to anybody. But the man didn't come home right away. His wife called the police. Sure, that's what wives do. Then the police organized a search party, because that's what the police do. And the search party started searching in the woods, because hey, that's what search parties do, right? And then the drunk man gets up, wakes up completely sober, and he sees that there's a search party going on. So he joins that search party, because hey, when you're newly sober and responsible, that's what you do. So after searching for a few hours, one of the searchers calls out the missing man's name, which, in all fairness, probably should have been doing that way before that.
Right.
And so the man everyone is looking for says, "Yeah," followed by, "Wait, what? And are you all looking for me? And is this some kind of joke?" And all of that was in like a flawless Turkish accent, you guys, just for the record.
Yeah.
And then when the entire search party finds out that they aren't very observant, which, you know, in all fairness, that's the main qualification for being a member of a search party. Looks like that's one young Turk who was less than delighted. Super proud of that one.
Yeah. As you probably...
I'll be right back.
Oh, okay.
Do this one
do you want me to just...
Yeah.
I will. I guess I'll wrap this up. As you probably know, vending machines are huge in Japan. And now one type of Japanese vending machine sells random destination airline tickets, guys. You don't know where you'll end up. Well, that sounded really fun. Until one of those tickets for one unlucky traveler landed them right here in Grand Rapids, Michigan. I know.
Where am I? a normal Japanese citizen who flew on a random flight and I wound up in this strange place. Why is there bad art everywhere? Why are there old Republican Dutch people everywhere? Why are there so many scooters floating in the river? Why can't anyone make a left turn? What's the deal with the big grocery store? Everyone's calling it Myers, but there's no S on the sign. Does it have something to do with those S curves I keep hearing about? Well, my ticket, it said GRR. I was expecting a kaiju. Where the hell are the kaiju? Is that big red metal thing a kaiju? How do I get back home to Tokyo?
Yep. We wish that clearly Japanese residents all the luck getting back home to Japan, especially since Grand Rapids doesn't use radar. We got the weather ball.
Wow, that guy had a flawless Japanese accent.
I know.
And now a piece from our conspiracy theory desk. A high-ranking naval engineer with access to design details and secrets about U.S. nuclear submarines was arrested along with his wife for attempting to pass this classified information to foreign governments. Now, the documents were reportedly saved to an SD card and hidden, this is 100% true, a peanut butter and jelly sandwich, which was then passed to undercover FBI agent, while it's very suspicious that there's no details on what type of jelly or if the peanut butter was crunchy or creamy. That's not the conspiracy today. An FBI spokesperson definitively stated that no classified information ever actually passed to a hostile power. We here at NewsFlash believe that it is important to point out that France and Australia are not hostile powers, and in fact, the Aussies may now have replaced their inferior Vegemite sandwich technology with the superior PB&J as a result of this. Much to the chagrin of those cheesy surrender monkeys that watch black and white films and smoke while they eat their butter and brie baguettes. Now, the original sandwich vessel reportedly was a sub. They thought that was too obvious, too on the nose, so they decided they'd rather go under the radar. Yeah.
Yeah. We'd like to thank our writers for Newsflash this week, and if you'd like to see your name up there, you can submit your jokes to comedyoutletmondays@gmail.com with the subject line Newsflash Tips.
Yes. You can follow us on Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, Twitter, rewatch videos from past shows, get notified of lineups for future shows, find our submission form to get your own act on stage, and learn about other ways to get involved. And now, Grand Rapids, you're welcome.
Newsflash!